There is a universal financial blind spot out there, and I guarantee it affects almost everyone, including, honestly, probably you. I'm Zach, and welcome to this explainer from Zak Wealth Files. Today, we're going to tackle subscription spending. We'll break down exactly why your brain can't track recurring charges, how the system is literally engineered to exploit that, and most importantly, I'm going to walk you through a quick 20-minute audit to plug this cash leak for good. So let's get right into it.
Okay, let's start with a really simple test. If you stop a random group of people on the street and ask them, hey, how much do you spend every month on subscriptions? You know, your streaming apps, music, cloud storage, the whole shebang. The average answer comes back at exactly $86 a month. And honestly, that sounds pretty reasonable, right? It feels like a totally manageable number that you can just easily slot into a monthly budget.
But here is where it gets crazy. The reality is way different. When researchers sit those exact same people down and actually look at their bank statements item by item, the real average is a staggering $219 a month. And that money is spread out across an average of 8.2 active services. That's 2.5 times their original guess. So almost 90% of us are severely underestimating what we spend. The question you should be asking isn't really how much do I spend, because, well, our brains are terrible at guessing that. The real question is, what is secretly hiding on your statements right now?
Now, before you start beating yourself up over that $133 gap between what you think you spend and what you actually spend, hold on. This isn't because you're bad at math. What we're looking at here is just basic human psychology reacting to a highly deliberate system. You see, your brain just isn't wired to track a bunch of small, scattered, recurring charges. Think about how spending used to feel. When you hand over physical cash, there's visible friction. There's this distinct moment where you actually feel the money leaving your wallet. But autopay? Autopay completely deletes that moment. A $9 charge doesn't even register as a real financial event. It's just this invisible extraction that happens silently while you sleep. The only proof is a tiny line item on a statement you probably just skim over anyway. 10 small invisible charges don't feel like $90. To our brains, they feel like absolutely nothing.
And because of that invisible processing, a mind-blowing 42% of people are actively paying for at least one subscription they completely forgot they even had. A lot of these started as, those harmless free trials where you just forgot to hit cancel. When you zoom out and look at the big picture, Americans are collectively throwing away an estimated $15.5 billion every single year on forgotten subscriptions. That is a massive leak in our collective wealth.
This $557 billion subscription economy, which by the way is growing at over 16% a year, is not built this way by accident. It is meticulously engineered around the simple fact that you won't notice these small recurring charges. And once you see how they do it, you really can't unsee it. The core strategy here is something called friction asymmetry. Basically, this is the business practice of making sign-up incredibly easy, like literally just one click with your saved Apple Pay, while making cancellation an absolute nightmare. They force you through endless drop-down menus or make you call a retention specialist during business hours. And here is the kicker. That difficulty isn't a website glitch, it is the core design. Regulators are totally aware of this too. The FTC actually tried to implement a click-to-cancel rule in 2024 to level the playing field, but a federal appeals court vacated that rule in July 2025. So right now, companies are operating with less oversight, banking on the fact that you'll just get too frustrated to finish the cancellation process.
And then we have what's known as the price ratchet effect. Just look at the timeline for Netflix's standard plan. Back in 2014, it was $7.99. Jump to 2024, it hits $15.49. Now, heading into 2026, it's $17.99. Subscription businesses are absolutely obsessed with their churn rate, which is just the rate at which people cancel. Years of A/B testing have shown them that a sneaky $1 or $2 price hike only loses a tiny fraction of customers, but they get to keep all that extra revenue from the loyal, low-attention customers who just let it ride. Your inattention is literally priced into their business model, steadily pushing your monthly spend higher and higher, even if you never sign up for anything new.
So now that we understand exactly how the trap works, it's time to take control back. We're going to go hunting for what's hiding right in plain sight on your statements. Because to fix the leak, you need to know exactly what species of subscription you're dealing with. Generally, there are 4 main types. First up, zombie subscriptions. These are the services you pay for but literally haven't logged into for months. Second, we have fantasy memberships. This is the aspirational stuff. The gym you pay $50 a month for just to feel like a gym person, even though you only actually go twice a year. Third, overlapping stacks. This is having 2 or 3 different apps that do the exact same thing, like multiple cloud storage providers. And finally, grandfathered price increases, where you're paying $20 a month for something you would never in a million years sign up for today at that price. Of all of these, your zombies and those fantasy memberships are the biggest culprits quietly draining your wealth.
I want to pivot away from basic budgeting for a second and talk about long-term wealth building. Because honestly, this is where the math gets genuinely exciting. Every single recurring charge in your life actually carries a double cost. There's the face value of the charge itself, sure, but there's also a massive compounding cost hiding right behind it. I like to call this the invisible twin. The invisible twin is simply the future invested value of the money you're spending today. See, when you cancel a useless subscription, you aren't just saving $20 this month. You're saving that $20 every single month, forever. Canceling a recurring charge is essentially buying yourself a permanent monthly income stream. And when you take that stream and invest it, compound interest kicks in. And compound interest is exactly like a snowball rolling down a hill. The longer it rolls, the bigger and faster it gets.
When you run the math on this, it's pretty staggering. Let's say you do your audit and find just $100 a month in genuine leaks. If you redirect that $100 a month into an investment, let's assume a historical average return of around 7%. Just look at the snowball effect here. In 10 years, that $100 a month turns into over $17,000. In 20 years, it's $52,000. And in 30 years, you're looking at over $122,000. Over a working lifetime, a few forgotten apps and a gym membership you never use are literally costing you a 6-figure sum.
Here is exactly how we recover this compounding wealth. We're going to run a 20-minute subscription audit. This is a practical, step-by-step escape plan you can knock out this week. Step 1 is totally non-negotiable. You have to pull your last 3 months of bank and credit card statements and list every single recurring charge. You need 3 months to catch things that only bill quarterly. This forces you to bypass your brain's flawed memory and look at the hard evidence. Step 2, run the honest usage test. Ask yourself, when did I actually last open this app? Step 3, be ruthless and cancel the zombies. Step 4, neutralize any future free trials by immediately setting calendar reminders for 2 days before they expire. Step 5 is automating the wealth redirect, which we'll talk about in a second. And step 6, just toss a 20-minute biannual review on your calendar so you can maintain the system.
Now, I really need to pause on step 5 because if you skip this, the entire system falls apart. You absolutely must automate the redirect. If you go through all this effort to cancel $100 worth of subscriptions, but you don't immediately set up an automatic transfer sending that money directly to your savings, your investments, or to pay down high-interest debt, well, that money's just going to quietly dissolve back into your random everyday spending within 2 months. You have to give those freed up dollars a specific automated destination right away.
Now, as your friend who loves talking about money, I always want to be perfectly straight with you, so let's hit a few caveats. First off, please do not cancel things you actually use and love. If your family gathers around a specific streaming service every single night, that is genuine value. Keep it. Family plans are often a great deal too. Second, just a quick reminder that all investing carries risk. That 7% return we looked at earlier, that's an illustrative historical average, not a guarantee. And finally, remember that this explainer is strictly for general education. This isn't personalized financial, legal, or tax advice, so always run major decisions through a licensed pro if you need to.
And I think that really brings us to the core philosophy of Zak Wealth Files. You don't need to become this hyper-frugal person who owns absolutely nothing. Building long-term wealth is not about extreme deprivation, and it's definitely not about cutting every single ounce of joy out of your life. You just need to become the person whose bank statements hold absolutely no surprises. True wealth building comes down to having total clarity and intentionality with every dollar you spend. So, here is your concrete action step for this week. Sit down tonight, pull those 3 months of statements, and run the 20-minute audit. And once you do, I want you to come back here and let me know in the comments. What was your real number? And what crazy zombie subscription did you find hiding in the margins? Seriously, I read every single comment and I genuinely want to know how much you saved. Remember, clarity beats excitement every single time. If this framework was helpful for you, please hit subscribe to join our community here and click on the next explainer on your screen for another straightforward strategy to optimize your wealth. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and I'll see you in the next one.